Hello and welcome to another episode of CGN Live. I am Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. We got James Abel in the house already. Yes, this is the Friday night edition. So we do CGN Live once a week over here at Cheap Graphic Novels. Let me get my second screen going here. Well, some folks hopefully trickle in. All right. But yes, this is Cheap Graphic Novels, the best website. Sorry, I'm working with a kind of a haphazard filming location right now because we've got remodeling and moving and all kinds of things happening here. But the show must go on, as they say. So, yes, my name is Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. I am the host for tonight of CGN Live. And again, as I was saying, Cheap Graphic Novels is the best place to buy your comics and graphic novels. All of the books we talk about tonight will be on sale on our website Monday evening on the 24th. Is that right? Monday's the 24th, right? Yes, on the 24th. And the best way to find out what time those go on sale will be to follow us on social media. Follow us at CheapGN on Twitter and Instagram, or just search on Facebook for Cheap Graphic Novels in the search bar. And whenever the books go live, whenever they're ready to be bought and purchased by you, whenever they're ready to go on sale, Max, the guy that owns Cheap Graphic Novels, will send me a text, and I have my post ready to go for the evening, and I just put the post out right there, right then and there. So that's the best way to find out the exact time that they go on sale, Monday evening. We try to put it out there as soon as possible whenever we get the books in. And all the books will be heavily discounted, including Marvel and DC books will be up to 40% off on the day of purchase. So you want to check that out as well. But we do these CGN Lives once a week if you're new here. Typically, they're on Thursdays around noonish. This week was a little bit different. We had some things going on in the house, so I had to kind of reschedule things, but no big deal. Like I said, the show must go on. But they do our once a week. We also have a weekly newsletter that drops every Monday afternoon that I write as well. So you want to make sure that you are subscribed to our weekly newsletter so that you can read that every week. Yes, Coley, let's go. All right, I agree. But yeah, the weekly newsletter shows off what I think are the top 5 books every week, plus the exclusive Taylor Talks Comics pick of the week. And that's where I pick a more lesser known, usually a lesser known publisher, but I try to just keep it away from the top 4 publishers like Image, Dark Horse, DC, Marvel. I try to pick something from a different publisher besides those 4. But I think there were a few weeks where I had to go with Image for a couple of them just because there weren't very many releases otherwise. But that's a pick that, I always want to pick something that maybe you don't have your eyes on, and you can check that out to discover more comics, because that's the coolest thing to do in the medium is whenever you find a new artist or new writer or new comic that you've never heard of, and you give it a shot and it just washes over you and makes you a new fan. But yes, keep the chat alive. Let me know what books you've been reading, what comic books you've been reading, what comics you're excited that are coming out, any of the San Diego Comic-Con news that you've heard about that you're stoked about. We can talk about that as well. I know San Diego Comic-Con's happening as we're recording this, and it's only about 5 p.m. over there on the West Coast. So I'm sure there's exciting dinners happening and maybe some cool late evening convention kind of stuff happening. So let me know if any of the news you want to talk about as I pull up my screen here. I know it's a light year for movie news and that kind of stuff because of the strike that's going on. So there's actually, it seems like the headlines are kind of comic book related, which is pretty cool. All right, so I am going to start. I've shared my screen. These are the comic books that are coming out next week. Got 37 books to talk about tonight. And up first, we're talking about Spawn Origins Deluxe Edition. These are the slip-cased, oversized deluxe editions. And this is volume 6. We have 2 different versions here for you to choose from. One of them is a signed edition, and one of them is not. So the signed edition, these are limited to 500 copies, and they're signed and numbered, so you'll know which number you have and which number of edition you have. And that'll be $104.99, which is still a savings of $45 off that price. So the cover price of that signed edition is $149.99. So you're still saving 30% off. And what I always implore people, if they want these signed editions, is to don't hesitate on this. Don't wait too long on these copies, because I don't even know how many copies Max has. I can ask him if you really want to know how many he has coming in of these, but they are limited. So Max probably could only order so many. So if you want to order these, I would be waiting for that post on Monday night whenever I make it, so you know that when these books go on sale, and you can know right away when you can order it. Also, there's the add to wish list option, which is right here. I'm circling. If you just add a heart there, like I'm going to show you right there, now it's going to add that to my wish list. So then the minute that goes on sale as well, you're going to get an email notification. Anything you add to your wish list, you'll get an email notification the minute that you can order it. And that goes for newer stuff coming out, but also stuff that's out of print. If there's anything out of print that you find on the website, which I think pretty much every book CGN's ever sold has a listing on the website. If you just search for it, you want to add that to your wish list, because if Max happens to come upon a stock of some out of print books and he puts them on the website, you'll get that email notification. You'll be the first one to know. But yes, so it's $104.99 if you want the signed edition, and those will sell out for sure. I can almost guarantee it. But if you don't want the signed edition, you just want the normal thing, because that's the only difference between these two. If you just want the normal book in a slipcase, it's still beautiful, it's still nice. That's only $69.99, which is, again, a savings of 30% off. And those will not sell out as fast, but these aren't big books, so they will also have a limited print run. I don't know if they're going to reprint these again. This is finally their Spawn is, or Tom McFarlane is finally reprinting the earlier volumes, and then this is a new volume coming out, and this collects issues 26 through 50. So it looks like each slipcase covers about 25 issues, which is about half the size of those compendiums that have been coming out, but these are oversized, and they're in slipcases and they're hardcovers. Up next, we have two different versions of the Captain America by Ta-Nehisi Coates Omnibus. This omnibus will collect the entire run of Captain America from Ta-Nehisi Coates. But we have two cover options, and they're both done by Alex Ross. So you don't have your choice of artist, but you do have your choice of art. But Alex Ross did do the covers for all of the issues in this run, so it's kind of nice that he did the covers for the omnibuses. And these will be $59.99 a piece. It doesn't matter which cover you pick, the price will be the same. But the DM cover here by Alex Ross, that means it's a direct market exclusive. So these covers are going to be exclusive to the direct market, which is just comic book shops. And CGN is a comic book shop, so we have the ability to sell these. But like I said, this includes the entire run, and it was issues 1 through 30, and the material from the Free Comic Book Day 2018. So you're getting about 30 issues plus a little bit more for less than $60. And then here's the other cover. It's got the portrait by Alex Ross, which is kind of the same idea as what they did with the Immortal Hulk omnibus. They have one portrait of Hulk and one image of Hulk in more of a action type pose. And both those covers were done by Alex Ross as well. They kind of have this this idea of this kind of, I don't want to call it a gimmick, but I guess it is, of Alex Ross doing all the covers for an entire run of something. So he did all the covers for Ta-Nehisi Coates' Captain America, and he did all the covers for Immortal Hulk. Right now, he's doing all the covers for Ryan North's Fantastic Four, which is really cool. I think it's a good use of Alex Ross. Rather than have him do like variants here and there, it's kind of cool that every month you can expect that Alex Ross cover. But $59.99 for either of those. Those are 40% off. Then we have another reprint. And by another, I mean because last week, and it is on sale right now, was Avengers Omnibus Volume 1 reprint. This is Avengers Omnibus Volume 2. Marvel is doing a great job of this. This is the 60th anniversary of the Avengers. So in celebration of that, they are reprinting the Avengers Omnibus Volume 1 through 4. And then we're also getting a brand new Avengers Omnibus Volume 5. So if you're an Avengers fan or you want to read these classic Silver and Bronze Age stories, this is the time to jump on this bandwagon. The first cover here is by Alex Ross. It doesn't say, is that the DM cover though? Okay. And this is your standard edition cover. And this one's by Alex Ross, doing a kind of classic homage cover for the Avengers here. And these are $59.99 a piece. And this collects Avengers 31 through 58, Annuals 1 and 2, X-Men 45, and material from Not Brand Ack, number 5 and number 8. So if you have both omnibuses, you bought the one last week and this one, you'll have the first 58 issues of the Avengers in omnibus format. And then volumes 3 and 4 are coming shortly, and then volume 5 will follow that. The direct market cover is by John Buscema, who is one of the artists on this book. And that's like one of the covers that you'll see, the king size special. I guess it's annual number 2 then, that cover there. And you'll see that cover on the inside of the book. So if you're someone that wants the artwork to match what's on the inside of the book, then you're going to want this direct market cover. And I will say that the DM variants, they don't sell out like as fast as like a signed edition that I was talking about earlier, but they do sell out faster because they get smaller print runs. So if that's something that you want, is specifically if you want the DM cover, I wouldn't hesitate on that as well. But the writing in here is by Roy Thomas and Stan Lee and Gary Friedrich. The artwork, you'll see John Buscema, Don Heck, Werner Roth, and George Tuska. And volume 3, I think, is where the good stuff happens. I think volume 1's great because the first, I think 10 or so issues are by Jack Kirby. And those are great issues, especially issue number 4. It's one of my favorite comic book issues ever. Avengers number 4. But the volume 3 is going to have 2 huge events. It's going to have the Kree Skrull War and the Avengers Defenders War. And both of those things are great stories. You get artwork by Neil Adams for the Kree Skrull War. And then the Avengers Defenders War is kind of like the first big Marvel crossover, if you will. It's kind of, it's up there for speculation. People will say Secret Wars. Some people will say no, it was the name's escaping me. Dang it! What's the name of the? John Romita Jr. did the artwork. What's the name of it? I had a gallery edition last year. I'm gonna type it in. Someone type in the chat. Let's race and figure out who it was or what it was. No, it was not Secret Wars. I just Googled it. I know it wasn't Secret Wars. That's not what I'm talking about. Anybody in the chat's gonna beat me to this? Contest of Champions. Nobody beat me. Okay. Contest of Champions is the event I'm talking about. John Romita Jr., a young John Romita Jr. did the artwork for that. That's, some people will say that's the first event, but Avengers Defenders War predates both of those, and it is a crossover between 2 major Marvel teams. So there you go for that. Then we have Tokidoki, the art of Simone Legno. This is put out by Cernunos Publishing. I'm not familiar with this release or that publisher. Let's see what this is. Tokidoki, which translates to sometimes in Japanese, is an internationally recognized and iconic lifestyle brand based on the vision of Italian artist Simone Legno and his artist, serial entrepreneurs Pune Mahajer, oh my gosh, and Ivan Arnold. That one's a little bit easier. Since debuting in 2005, Tokidoki has amassed a cult-like following for its larger-than-life characters and emerged as a sought-after global lifestyle brand. So it's going to be a coffee table book with lots of cool artwork in it. It looks like a mixture of Japanese art mixed with some Italian sensibilities. But that'll be $49.99, and it is a hardcover. It'll be 20% off. Then we have a Marvel Masterworks, a Remasterworks. So this is going to be the X-Men Volume 1. This is the third volume of the remaster works. So what this is that Marvel is. So back in 1987, I think, late 80s, Marvel started putting out their Masterworks line, where they totally remastered and made the comic books look the best that they thought they could look to reprint them. The first volume that ever came out was Spider-Man Volume 1. Collected the first 10 issues of Spider-Man and Amazing Fantasy 15, I think it is. I think it's AF 15 plus 1 through 10. And then Fantastic Four was the second one. And that was collected the first 10 issues of that. And now we have X-Men. X-Men was the third volume that came out, collecting the first 10 issues of X-Men. Now, something like 35 years later, 36 years later, they're remastering the Masterworks. And they started with Spider-Man that came out a couple months ago, and then Fantastic Four came out last month, and now we have X-Men. There's no word on if they're going to do this throughout the entire series of Masterworks, because they're up to like volume 349 or something right now. But they are going to keep doing them probably as long as sales are good. So if you missed out on these early volumes, here's kind of your second chance at them. Or if you have the early Masterworks and you want to get like the best version, I guess, of them, because a lot of these cases they found like more original artwork and stuff to do the remastering of. When back in the late 80s, that when they're doing this, they only had like certain files to use, but if they found the original art later, they can actually put that in and put the colors over top of it and kind of make it look real pristine. But yeah, so this first volume, or there's two different covers. The first one is the direct market variant, and these volumes will number the Masterworks based on all of the Masterworks, considering them all. So this one says volume 3. You can see at the very back of the title there, it listed as volume 3. That's because Spider-Man was considered volume 1, and then Fantastic Four, and now this. So that's if you want to number that. Like I said, we're on like volume 349 or something. So the spine of that one will say volume 349 if you're collecting all of the Masterworks. Or you can get the standard edition cover, which has the silver border around the cover there, and that'll have the volume number on the spine based on that character. So all the X-Men ones will be volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But no matter what cover you pick, it'll be 40% off, and you'll be buying it at $44.99 if you shop with Cheap Graphic Novels. Now we have Worlds Beyond Time, sci-fi art of the 1970s. So this is going to be another coffee table book. This one's by Abrams. Adam Rowe is the writer. In Worlds Beyond Time, sci-fi art of the 1970s, Adam Rowe, who has been curating, championing, and resurrecting the best and the most obscure art of the 1970s sci-fi has to offer for more than 5 years on his blog, 70s Sci-Fi Art, introduces readers to the biggest names of the genre, including Chris Foss, Peter Ellison, Tim White, Jack Gown, and Virgil Finley. So if you're into art books and you're wanting some inspiration of the 70s, it says too right here, it's a loving tribute to a unique and robust art form whose legacy lives on in both nostalgic appreciation as well as the retro chic design of mainstream sci-fi films such as Guardians of the Galaxy, Alien Covenant, and Thor Ragnarok. That'll be $31.99. Then we have an epic collection. This one is Thunderbolts, Volume 1. And this is not a modern epic. It is part of the classic epic line, despite it being a late 90s run. I feel like this could have been a modern run. But, whatever. It's $29.99 if you shop with CGN. This is the run that was started by Kurt Busiek and Mark Bagley. And it includes the early appearances of Thunderbolts, which was in... trying to see here. It was in the Incredible Hulk 449, and then they have Heroes for Hire in here, Tales of the Marvel Universe. But most importantly, it has the first 12 issues of Thunderbolts plus Annual 97. So if you want to get on the ground floor of collecting the Thunderbolts Epic Collections, here's your start. Then we have a deluxe edition from Image Comics, and this is a big one. This is 8 Billion Genies, the newest series from from Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. They're the two gentlemen that brought us. Dang it! What's the name of that wizard story? Cursed. Curse Words. That's what it is. Curse Words. Charles Soule and Ryan Brown brought us that series. Great fun series. This is their newest one, and before issue 2 or 3 even came out, it was already optioned for a TV series on Amazon, I think, or something of that nature. It was definitely optioned. But this collects the first 8 issues, and it is listed as Volume 1. I thought the series, when the series was first announced, it was announced as just a series, like just a mini series. There's going to be 8 issues, and that was it. I don't know if now, because of the popularity, they've decided to expand upon that. But it will be a nice deluxe edition. And it's a fun story that's been getting a lot of rave reviews, and it will be adapted. So if you want to read it before it becomes adapted and before it becomes the next big thing on the streaming services, you might want to check it out. Now we have an Spider-Man Epic Collection. It's the Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, Spider-Man or Spider-Clone. This is the Jerry Conway and Ross Andrew era of Spider-Man. This will be $26.99 if you order through CGN. And it collects issues of Amazing Spider-Man 143 through 164 and Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 10. I think if for Omnibus collectors, which is how I'm collecting these, I believe this would be volume 3 or 4 is when this takes place. But Ross Andrew is my personal second most favorite Spider-Man artist after Steve Ditko, of course. But Ross Andrew, I think, just has a really super dynamic art style that works well with the wall crawler, and his like really inventive, interesting panel layouts, I think, kind of lends itself to making a fun Spidey comic. So if you've never read Ross Andrews' Spider-Man, here's your chance. Avengers by Jason Aaron, Deluxe Edition, Volume 4. This will collect issues. It doesn't say. I don't know what issues it'll collect, but I think this is towards the end of his run. I don't think this is the final Deluxe Edition. Someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong. But this will be $26.99 if you order through CGN. If anybody has any questions about like what we have in stock, I could definitely look that up too. So if this is like if you're wanting to get like Avengers by Jason Aaron volume 1 through 3 or something, I can look that up to see if we have any of those in stock. Just throw that into the chat, and I'll let you know. Then we have an Epic Collection reprint. This one is X-Men Epic Collection, The Fate of the Phoenix. This one is an interesting reprint because we've seen it. Curtis Finley over at Epic Marvel Podcast, which is a great podcast, great YouTube channel. Definitely recommend following him, especially if you're into the Marvel Epic collections. But he has already got his early release copy, and he's shown it off, and it has the X-Men logo. There is the more classic looking logo, and it's blue. The lettering is blue and yellow instead of red and yellow. And also, he's made it a note that the first printing of this Epic collection had really thin paper that you can see through to the other side of it, like more so than ever usual with these things. So if you want but then he said the newer printing has thicker paper. So if you want to get the better edition or update your edition, if you will, maybe pick this up. This includes X-Men 129 through 141, and then Uncanny X-Men 142 through 143. So that is when the name of the comic book changes from just X-Men to Uncanny X-Men, which is what we all know and love now it's kind of what it's like colloquially known as for Chris Claremont's run is kind of the Uncanny X-Men run. But it actually didn't become Uncanny X-Men officially in like the edition and whatnot and being titled as such on the covers until 142, 143. And this will be also the Days of Future Past run, or the 2-issue series there, which will be the conclusion of John Byrne's run on the run. John Byrne's run on the art of X-Men. He would come back later, but for now, that's the end of the run of the classic Claremont, Byrne, and Terry Austin trio of writer, penciler, and inker. of Uncanny X-Men that put the book on the map and made it the top-selling Marvel comic and top-selling comic in general for a long time. Like that definitely kicked it off. Now we have a 40th anniversary edition of the Masterpieces of Fantasy Art by Taschen. And Taschen puts together great, beautiful books. If you buy a Taschen book, you can almost guarantee that it's going to be a beautiful presentation. Like book design wise, they really put the heart and soul into it. This will be $23.99. It is a hardcover. It's going to collect a lot of fantasy art. As you can imagine, there'll be Frank Frazetta artwork in here, but also you'll see names like H.R. Geiger, Jeffrey Catherine Jones, Greg Hildebrandt, Michael Whelan. So Philippe Droulier is an amazing European artist. You can see a lot of the kind of stuff in there. So it's another coffee table book, but it's great. It has great artwork in it. Now we have another hardcover. This one is Batman the Knight. This is the continuing of Chip Zdarsky's run with Carmine de Giandomenico. I probably butchered that name, but the artist, though, I know and I'm familiar with because recently I've been diving into the Flash Rebirth run, the Joshua Williamson run specifically, and Carmine de Giandomenico, again, I butchered it, is the artist on that. He's a great, great artist. So Chip Zdarsky's Batman is in good hands there. This one will be $23.99, and it is a standard size hardcover, and it collects Batman the Knight 1 through 10. Here's a big one for indie underground fans. Palookaville Volume 24 hardcover by Seth. Yes, he has one name. He is Mononymous. I can't say that word. It's like when Donna and Cher, when they only have one name. Slapstick Genius. Hello there. Hello. I'm guessing you're a hockey fan. Maybe. Or Slapstick, is that a comedy thing? Have you seen the Kamen Rider manga? I have. And I have the hardcover that was put out by... Who put that out? It wasn't Viz. It was... I don't know. But it's got the Shitaro Ishinomori stuff. Artwork by his Kamen Rider run, which is great. I love Ishinomori. I wish they put out more of his stuff. Reprinted at least in English. Because like Cyborg 009 or 009, however you say the name, that run had like a small print run like over 10 years ago. It didn't complete the run. I think now it's a different new day and age, and I love classic manga, so I love them for them to reprint those. Maybe in hardcovers would be cool. But Ishinomori, I have that, and I also have his Super Sentai hardcover, which came out. And then the only other thing that I know is readily available of his artwork in English is the Zelda comic book he did. It was released in a kind of a magazine format. It's really thin trade, but it collects all of his Zelda comics that came out in Nintendo Power magazine back in the 90s. But Shitaro Ishinomori was the artist on that, which is kind of cool because you get to see a mangaka do a Western comic style, but for a Japanese property. But yes, Kamen Rider manga. That's the only one I've read, though, is the classic one. I haven't read the new one, which is like Kamen Rider Gekuga or something like that. I forget the name. But yes, if that answers any of your questions. Have you read them? How do you feel about them? But back to Palookaville. So don't be dismayed by the volume 24. This was just a one-man anthology, so picking up any volume is going to be okay. I don't even know if it'll say volume 24 like super prominently on it, because it's been years since volume 23 came out. Seth would just put out these one-man anthologies, in the same tradition that Dan Klaus does, or Evan Dorkin did it with Dork. Trying to think, Pete Bag had Hate and Neat stuff. Chris Ware had what was his called? Dang it, I'm drawing like all kinds of blanks tonight. Acme Novelty Library, that's what it was called. But some more closely related to probably what Chris Ware did with Acme Novelty Library or what Dan Klaus did with 8-Ball, Seth would do Palookaville, and it would just have like a series of strips in it that he was working on. And then maybe if there's like an overarching story or a longer story being told throughout all the volumes, He put those together and compile them into a collection, which is where we got like Clyde fans. That slipcase that we got from Seth, that came out uh, collecting all the stories from Palookaville. But this will be $23.96, and it is a thinner one. I think these are like 80 to 100 pages maybe, but I think it's gonna be oversized. I haven't seen it come out yet. Like I haven't seen pictures or anything, but I would be shocked if it's not oversized. But it says it also has an extensive photo essay detailing the making of the film accompanies a DVD. So it has a short film documenting Seth's adventure into puppetry. Yeah. So Seth does a lot of cool things. He released like a vinyl record that accompanied some of his comics that came out like last year or something. It's pretty cool. But this will be $23.96, and it's put out by Drawn and Quarterly. But that is a savings of 20% off the cover price if you shop with CGN. Judge Dredd, the Darkest Judge trade paperback. This will be $19.20. This is put out by Rebellion/2000 AD, and it has the writer is Kenneth Niemand, and the artwork is by Kei Zama. $19.20. I think I said that. 20% off. This looks to be a newer story. Yeah, the latest Judge Dredd epic featuring zombies infecting the whole 2000 AD multiverse. All of your favorite characters have been turned into zombies in this fast-paced standalone horror story. So it's like, if you're not familiar, like 2000 AD was a magazine that came out, and had all kinds of different characters. Like Slain was in there. I'm trying to think of other ones. Had the Future Shocks, which were like kind of EC Comics anthology strips that are science fiction related. Does it list some of the characters? I'm really drawing blank tonight. Rogue Trooper was a big one. Sabbath the Necromagus. I'm not super familiar with a lot of the like 2000 AD beyond the mainstream stuff, but anyways, they're all turned into zombies. It looks like a big crossover. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Blackest Night, but done in the European 2000 AD style. Now we have a Junji Ito collection. This one's a hardcover, and it collects a bunch of different short stories, all revolving around the Soichi character, which is the character you see there on the cover, with the hammer and the crosses in his headband looking thing. Real creepy imagery. You can imagine it being Junji Ito to have great creepy artwork in here. But Soichi is the unhinged second son of the Suji family. Chews nails and makes them clatter and clack as he spouts horrific curses to bring about the most bizarre happenings. So this collects all the short stories of that. It'll be $18.75. If you've never read manga and you're a horror fan, Junji Ito is a great jumping on point. Yes, it does read right to left like the traditional manga does, which is like the reverse of what Western comics is. But I think Junji Ito's artwork and panel layouts lend itself to easily be a good gateway manga into reading more manga. And I say that as a personal experience because my first manga that I was really diving into was Junji Ito, and it really helped ease me into reading it from left to right. Right to left. That's how you read it. Social fiction graphic novel. This one will be $18.75, and it's put out by New York Review Comics. Chantal Montelier is the writer, and Jeffrey Brock is the artist. And it's about an anonymous official chides a man under surveillance, stepping out of the view of a security camera. Visitors to an underground mall are forced to form a new society when a nuclear strike may or may not have left them as the sole survivors on Earth. Newlyweds living in an authoritarian New York City attempt to navigate the insidious hurdles of being permitted to have a child. All right, so interesting kind of social commentary, I'm sure, in there. A group of people are trapped in a mall and formed to make a new society after the apocalypse. Marvel Comics manga tribute hardcover. This one is put out by Viz Media, and it's a art book that has a bunch of different Marvel characters being done by mangaka, including Yasuhiro Naito, Akira Himekawa, and Peach Momoko, and Yusuke Murata, and Yoshitaka Amano. Peach Momoko stands out there because she does a lot of the variant covers now. And she also had her own series for Marvel where it's like released in a treasury sized edition, but she is Japanese, so she is, by all intents and purposes, by definition, a mangaka. You'll see her artwork in here. Then we have Macbeth hardcover. This is one that's put out by Avery Hill Publishing. It is $18.36. The writer credited is William Shakespeare, but also Kay Briggs. And Kay Briggs is also the artist. So Kay Briggs is taking William Shakespeare's Macbeth and adapting it into a comic book. This is described as a vivid graphic novel adaptation of Shakespeare's Macbeth, when three witches prophesy to Macbeth that he will one day become the King of Scotland. An epic of unhappiness, treachery, and blood begins. I'd be curious if this is like a faithful adaptation or if he takes any liberties or whatnot. Let me know if anybody picks this up. Castle Full of Blackbirds. This is a Hellboy Universe hardcover. It'll be like a standard size slim hardcover, but it'll be only $17.49 if you order through Cheap Graphic Novels. The writer is Mike Mignola, and Angela Slatter is the artist. It includes Castle Full of Blackbirds 1 through 4. Peanuts, the Complete Collection, Volume 19 trade paperback. So we had the Complete Collection of Peanuts released in hardcovers before, and I think those were designed by Seth, the aforementioned. These are being designed by Jacob Covey, or have been designed by Jacob Covey. He's no longer with Fantagraphics. But these are the paperbacks, so they're a little bit cheaper, but they're still very nice. It's 1724, and this collects all the years from 1987 through 1988. All of the Peanut strips by Charles Schultz. Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck, the Dragon of Glasgow. So any Scotland fans out there, fans from Scotland, listen up. This is great duck adventures happening in your neck of the woods. The writer is Joris Chamberlain, and the artist is Fabrizio Petrosi. This will be $14.99. It'll be a hardcover, and it seems to be like a graphic novel. So it's an all new saga. Oh, this is set in the all new saga set in the world of Don Rosa's Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck series. The Dragon of Glasgow forges a new trail with thrills and chills, rendered in a modern animation-inspired style. So it's interesting. Carl Barks was really the guy that kind of the mastermind behind all of the mythos and the lore and the world building of classic duck stories. So Don Rosa, but then since then, there's been like a ton of different artists that took on the ducks, like European artists and whatnot. But Don Rosa, when he started doing his take on the ducks, only considered anything that Carl Barks did as canon. So he kind of lived in the Carl Barks canon. But now we have a new cartoonist that looks like living in the Don Rosa canon. So it's kind of an interesting premise there. Door to Door, Night by Night by Volt Comics. Colin Bunn is the writer here. And the artist is Sally Cantarino. The Heritage Mills sales team travels from town to town knocking on doors. They're the best at what they do, which also means they're the worst. They're broken, each and every one of them, haunted by closets so full of skeletons they're bursting. When they discover a terrible secret behind one fateful door, it opens their eyes to a world full of real monsters hidden in every small town. $14.99 for that trade paperback, and it is listed as Volume 1. Batman Gotham Knights Gilded City hardcover. This will be a standard size hardcover put out by DC Comics. Evan Narcisse is the writer, and Abel is the artist. It includes, I don't know, Gotham Knights, a series. It doesn't say which issues it is. But let me know if you read that. Is that a Black Label book? I'm not familiar with this book. Cold Iron trade paperback. This will be 30% off, and it is $13.99 from Dark Horse Comics. Andy Diggle is the writer, but Nick Brokenshire and Triona Farrell are credited as the artists. And it doesn't say Volume 1, so it must be the whole series. Celtic folklore and modern moxie collide as an ancient pact between worlds is broken. The sinister forces of fairy have slipped their shackles, and the black dog walks abroad this night. So it looks like some Celtic mythology, but also the guy on the cover has a guitar. So maybe some modernist takes on that. Looks pretty cool. Eve, Children of the Moon for $13.49 trade paperback. Be 25% off by Boom Studios. Victor Lavelle is the writer, and Joe Migiong is the artist. It collects Eve, Children of the Moon 1 through 5. It's not listed as a volume 1, so it must be the whole series there. Icon and Rocket Season 1 trade paperback from DC Comics. This was previously released as a standard size hardcover, but now we're getting it as a trade paperback. Reginald Hudland is the writer, and Doug Braithwaite is the artist. This will be $11.99 and includes Milestone Returns Infinite Edition number 0 and Iron and Rocket Season 1, 1 through 6. X-Men Trials of X Volume 11 trade paperback. That'll be $11.99. Radiant Pink of the Massiverse from Image Comics. That'll be Volume 1, and it's called Across the Universe. $11.89 is the cover price. And that is Cherish Chin on the writing, and David LaFuente and Mikel Minerto on the artwork. Hulk by Donny Cates, Volume 2, Hulk Planet. That'll be $10.79. Mary Jane and Black Cat Dark Web will be $10.79. Daredevil and Elektra by Chip Zdarsky, Volume 2, The Red Fist Saga Part 2, trade paperback, will be $9.59. Strange Academy, Volume 4, Finals, trade paperback. That'll be $8.39, and I believe, let me see. I believe this will be one of the digest-sized trade paperbacks for this series, which they've released the first 3 volumes as. That's the Scotty Young series on writing, and artwork is by Humberto Ramos. But that'll be it. That's all the books that are coming out on Monday for Cheap Graphic Novels. If you shop with us, be sure to follow us on social media at Twitter and Instagram if you want to know when those books will go on sale on Monday. I always like to share those there. Again, my name is Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. Thank you for joining me. Look out for the weekly newsletter. Look out for our next live show we'll be doing. CGN Live, episode 29 will be the next one. I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Keep reading comics.